NATO stands going to apologize for yesterday's warmongering, or we only demand apologies from the people who aren't bloodthirsty libs? Yeah, of course. There, we can now lower the nuclear apocalypse hype train now. Please and thank you. Yeah, I know. I just wrote that sentence. Ukraine war. Poland says missile deaths an unfortunate incident. Wait, hold on, bro. What the fuck? I thought we were doing it, man. I thought we were doing the damn thing. To be fair, though, even the fucking most bloodthirsty libs weren't in the chat going fucking crazy when I said that America will not do Article 5 for 2 Polish farmers. Like, normally I would have a lot more people. I would face a lot more backlash for saying that. Okay? Normally, I think, like, even the most bloodthirsty libs, they didn't hit that as hard. You had some, you didn't see them? Yeah, we just, like, banned them quickly, and we moved. Ukraine, a non-NATO member, attacked Poland, a NATO member? Okay, dude. Like, also, Putin simps in the fucking chat. Like, stop chiming in. Okay? Like, they were not... I don't think Ukraine was also trying to do a fucking false flag. Okay? That would be idiotic. I know you think, like, Zelensky sucks or whatever, but... ultimately, though, Zelensky did go ham mode. Okay? He went John Hambo. The moment that the missiles fucking fell into Russian territory, he was like, that's it. It's done. Everyone needs to fight now. Nukes should be out. And, of course, everyone else was like, hold on. Remember, you are the leader of Ukraine. Know your fucking place. And that is what has happened over and over again every single time Zelensky has demanded that the rest of the fucking world come together and fight Russia. Because nobody wants nuclear holocaust. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's the... What did I tell you? I told you that nuclear holocaust doesn't make money. Nuclear brinksmanship can, but nuclear holocaust does not, because then everyone's dead. When everyone's dead, there are no profits to make. War is a racket. War is for profits. Okay? Tell that to the ANCAPs. What the fuck? Ukraine is splitting from NATO's message. Zelensky insists the missile that hit Poland was Russian. Yeah. No. I mean, even if it is, they're not going to say that. Okay? Which I don't think it is anyway. But here, let's keep going.
Begin with a very serious development.
I mean, listen, I'll take a dub here and there. And, you know, the dub is that we are not having nuclear holocaust. I think that we can all agree that that's kind of a dub, right? We can say that. That's good. That's a good thing.
Development in Russia's war on Ukraine. An alarming situation in Poland, our NATO ally, where a missile landed in a village, killing 2 people. Now, it happened just across Ukraine's border after Russia's biggest missile barrage of the war caused heavy damage across Ukraine. And this morning, Poland's president said it appears to be, quote, an unfortunate accident. And President Biden says it's very possible, he says, that the missile came from Ukraine. Chris Livesay is there. Chris, good morning to you. Sounds they still have a lot to sort out there.
Yeah, good morning, Gail. Now, both the president of Poland and the head of NATO.
What is this? I saw someone getting amped up about invoking Article 5 for Lithuania. Dying for Poland is one thing, but dying for Lithuania is probably the worst thing I can imagine. Probably the single least dignified way for a global nuclear conflict to start. I'd rather die for downstate Illinois. That's a good one. Bro, that is literally, can you imagine? He didn't take the walk to Poland. He took the missile. What the hell? Dude, even for fucking Poland, like, what are we doing here? Okay? What the fuck's going on, dude? Everybody calm down. Okay? Everybody calm the fuck down. What's happening? Sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of this nonsense. Russia, cut it out. Okay? Stop. I've asked many times. But it's like, dude, I swear to God, if I die in an all-out nuclear war, because the Eastern Bloc countries are fighting one another, I will fucking lose my mind. I will be doing extra reps as a fucking ghost in hell, because I know my ass ain't going to heaven, beating the shit out of every single fucking foreign leader and world leader in general. Are you joking, dude? Are you joking? No, it's not happening. It's absolutely not happening. No shot. On March, Mitchell hit Zagreb, capital of Croatia. Still no conclusion, but didn't activate Article 5. Dude, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? If a country's name cannot be properly pronounced by speed, we're not going nuclear warfare for that. Okay, if speed can't fucking say your country's name right, then that's not happening. Like, that's not nuclear war. Croatia, dude, I'm Lithuanian and wouldn't fight in that war. Yeah, no shot. Get the fuck out of there. Saudi Arabia.
NATO are saying it was likely the cause of a Ukrainian response to a barrage of missiles and not a Russian attack.
Of the thousands of missiles fired since the start of Russia's war, few could determine its future as much as this one. The blast killed 2 people on a farm in Przewidów, a small border town in Poland, but with global implications. Unlike Ukraine, Poland is a member of NATO. If this was a Russian attack, it could trigger a military response against Russia from the U.S. and the rest of the alliance. Poland has determined the missile was made by Russia, but that does not mean it was fired by Russia, says President Joe Biden.
It's unlikely. In the mind.
Motherfuckers in the chat were like, no, man, Russia hit like a random grain silo on purpose. Like, there were people who were literally like, no, man. Like, this is one of the worst parts about fucking covering this shit, is that, like, I just can't, I can't just be like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you're being ridiculous any longer, because I said it too many times at the beginning of the fucking war. And, Russia did do the ridiculous thing. Vladimir Putin did do the ridiculous, insane thing, right? So now everyone's like, nah, dog, like, they will do that. It's a tactical grain storage facility. It's a tactical truck that they hit. The initial thought was an accident. I don't think anybody ever said it was intentional. You didn't see my fucking chat then.
Of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see.
U.S. officials say the missile could also have been launched by Ukrainian forces in an effort to deflect a crushing salvo aimed at Ukraine's electrical grid, the most massive since the start of the war. But Ukraine was quick to point the finger at Moscow. This is a Russian missile attack on...
Zelensky saying this yesterday seems so insane. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not that insane. I told you what it was. The reason why Zelensky said this is because it's the same exact fucking thing that he's been saying since day one. He's like, we want air support. We want a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Like, we want Article 5. We want NATO protection. Like, he literally will use anything and everything he can to fucking get that, which is not going to happen. Now, is he doing it because he wants to make his people see that he's like in their corner fighting for them as best as he possibly can? Is he doing this because he genuinely thinks it'll happen? I mean, I don't think he thinks that there will ever be a moment where there's like an Article 5 situation, right? For a few hours yesterday, the consensus seemed to be that Russian missiles likely struck a member of the NATO alliance. That incendiary allegation hung on the word of a single anonymous senior intelligence official. If you wanted to make the argument that the official misinformation is far more dangerous than misinformation propagated by rogue actors, this example would be a good place to start. True. If you wanted to argue that respectable media outlets must get 2 or ideally 3 sources to corroborate serious allegations if no one will go on the record, this example would also provide a lot of support. Zelensky today. Huh. Well, you know, ultimately, even if the Article 5 doesn't happen, you know, Zelensky gives us another $37 billion of weapons, right? And then he can say, look, they didn't give us this, but they gave us that instead, you know? I think the most important thing here is that nobody did anything stupid. People took a long breath and figured out what the fuck happened. Okay, here are some lessons. If you are a big diehard NATO guy, if you have a Ukrainian flag in your bio, a couple lessons for you to learn from this is that, one, war is a racket, okay? And the moment that you're not making money off that, the moment that like nuclear brinksmanship turns into nuclear holocaust, like serious nuclear threats, notice how quickly America pulled away from that conversation. Understand that, okay? Understand that America's interest in Ukraine is not about Ukrainian lives. Okay, so that's number one. That is definitely something that is fundamentally true that you should understand. Okay, you might personally think that like Americans genuinely care about the Ukrainian lives, but that's not the case. Okay. That's just, I mean, that's actually huge. That's huge to understand, I think. Like, it's huge to comprehend, because then it makes more sense. It makes more sense when you look at a situation like this and you go, oh, this is why America's not doing that. Okay? What could be a hypothetical Article 5 situation if Russians deliberately target like American assets, or not American assets, sorry, but like official American active members that are stationed in Poland or something. You know what I mean? They maneuver their resources that they don't even fucking have right now, obviously, or they never really did, as you can see, to push for like Poland or something in a way that would that comes in so quick that Americans can't even pull their troops back from Poland. In that situation, like Article 5 will only be invoked if America feels like their global hegemonic power status is threatened, because Article 5 means all-out nuclear war. Okay? That's it. War between two states with nuclear arsenals is going to be the last resort. They'll just keep doing proxy wars over and over again. They'll utilize places like Ukraine.
Collective security, said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This is a very significant escalation.
I also partially think that like American media is bullying Zelensky a little bit. And by bullying, I mean like honestly covering what he's saying instead of just offering widespread praise for what he's saying, because I think they want him to push for, more like a ceasefire, peace talk, cold winter's coming, you know. That's my suspicion. I suspect that the American State Department's interests in Ukraine rely on Ukraine being more open to some level of ceasefire, or at the very least, like something that is going to calm the tension a little bit, at least for the winter. And I don't mean nuclear winter. No, I mean just like winter, brother. It's cold. It's going to be cold as fuck. Like 6 months ago, that was not the Western position for Ukraine, I don't think. But now that is the Western. It seems like that is becoming the Western position on Ukraine. I have never heard so many state officials in the West openly talk about how they think like, Ukraine should be more open-minded to peace talks with Russia. Would you consider your Article 5 opinion a conspiracy? What? My Article 5 opinion is not a conspiracy. It's just pure speculation, but a little bit more educated. Bro, you said Russia is getting its shit pushed in. What happened? Wait, what are you talking about? What? I'm sorry, I didn't realize the fucking Kiev Oblast was now a part of Russia. What the fuck are you talking about? They literally just evacuated Kherson, a territory that they decided to fucking annex officially. You think that shit is good for Russia? Russia is getting its shit pushed in. Russia can't even fucking take over Ukraine, which was already like... Russia can't even take over... Russia can't even take over Ukraine, which... You know, they weren't going to be able to regardless because Ukraine is massive. But like, you're out of your mind if you think that like, you know, they're doing a great job currently. The fact that they're getting their shit pushed in is the reason why the position on peace talks have changed. That's not true either. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that's true. I think Russia was interested in peace talks. Russia was interested in peace talks in Antalya, and there was a 15-point plan that was put together, which was cast aside. There were, I think there was serious negotiations taking place, and then it got cast aside when Bojo himself visited Ukraine personally, and then for some reason they were like, yeah, no, we're not going anywhere. Bojo said Brexit is Brexit.
We must act. In the attack, Russia fired more than 90 missiles and drones across Ukraine, plunging 10 million households into darkness, the government says. But Ukraine says it managed.
And now they're just like straight up terrorizing Ukrainians in Western Ukraine. That's the other thing. Like, this is just state terrorism, like blowing up energy, blowing up like their infrastructure, blowing up their power plants, and making sure that they're like have their daily lives and their normal their normal operations in Ukraine. It's really fucked up. It's a way to, like, as cheaply as possible make Ukraine suffer. Ukrainians can't use their HIMARS on the Russian side in the same way. Ukrainians can't use their long-range weapon systems against Russian positions in a similar capacity, because I think Russia would retaliate in a really, really, really aggressive way, and America would fucking lose its mind if they did that. So now it's in a holding pattern where Russia is just like punishing the Ukrainian civilian population in the West, and will continue to do so. It's just a lose-lose for every single person. But what were you, but what were you expecting? This is war. This is the reason why we say war is bad. This is a really good opportunity for Ukrainians who do. The Ukrainian side has a more significant upper hand than it had in a very long time, though, since the invasion began almost. Like, there maybe is like one other moment when Russian munitions were much stronger than they are now, where you could have considered Ukraine to have an upper hand, when LPR, DPR were not fully taken over. But in that situation, like, Russia was able to continue trench warfare in that region. So that they probably would not have done a ceasefire. But this is a good opportunity when Ukraine has the upper hand to potentially do that, even though American generals are saying Ukraine has the capacity to take over Crimea. Meanwhile, the American leadership is saying they shouldn't do that, or not that they shouldn't do that. They're saying Ukraine should engage in serious peace talks with Russia.
To intercept most of them with its own air defense missiles. A remarkable achievement in itself, now overshadowed.
Now, it's important to remember that the blast in Poland was caused by Ukrainian air defenses. They were precisely that, defenses against the latest missile attack by Russia that have killed more than 6,000 civilians in Ukraine.
The media is also now saying with their whole chest what made every lib call you a tanky. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. Ukraine has become a testing ground for state-of-the-art weapons and information systems as Western political officials and military commanders predict could shape warfare for generations to come. Yeah, they're saying it. But once again, people called me a tanky for saying things that the media would say all the time. Joe Biden has said. People said I was pro-Russia because I was repeating what Zelensky was saying about Russia, attacking Ukraine and invading Ukraine. It doesn't matter. It's more about the energy behind sentiments. Everybody understands that no matter what happens, like if you're saying like Russian orcs and barbarians need to be fucking massacred and genocided, 90% of the time, the 10% of the time where you go, hey, hold on now, let's take a second here and calm down. We're not going to do Article 5. Then people are like, okay, I'll be charitable to what you're saying here. Do you think Russia could steamroll through Ukraine if they really wanted? No, I don't. I don't think that. If they could have done that, they would have done that already. Anyway, Zelensky is insisting that the missile hit was missile that hit Poland was Russian. The Ukrainian president contradicted statements by NATO, Poland, the United States, the UK, all of whom say it likely came from Ukrainian air defenses attempting to protect the country from Russian bombardment. Speaking to reporters, Mr. Zelensky said, I have no doubt that this was not our missile. I believe that this was a Russian missile based on our military reports. The incident is still under investigation, but the Polish president, Andrzej Duda, asserted earlier today, Ukraine's defense was launching their missiles in various directions, and it's highly probable that one of the missiles unfortunately fell on Polish territory. There was no suggestion that this was a deliberate attack, said NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. The new claims by Mr. Zelensky are likely to sow more confusion about the strike in Przodów. I'm not saying it right, but sorry. And could cause friction between Ukraine and its allies if they have opposing views on what happened. No, it won't. It won't cause conflicting friction between Ukraine and its allies because Ukraine would be in a much worse position if the allies pulled back. And they're not going to do that. Because Ukraine fighting Russia down to every last Ukrainian benefits Poland. It benefits America. It benefits everybody. Okay? In any case, Russia bears ultimate responsibility for the missile, said Mr. Stoltenberg, echoing a statement made by UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Both men said attention must be paid to why Ukraine is being forced to defend itself in the first place. The British Prime Minister said, dude, I would never... You know, there is truth to this. This is a true statement. However, this is a true statement. I've never heard that ever said in defense of Palestinians, though. Never. I think there is truth to this. Who's firing the missiles? Why are those missiles having to be intercepted by our missiles? That's a good question. Yeah, of course. It's because they're defending themselves against Russian barrage of missiles, right? However, I've never fucking heard that be said for Palestinians. Just something to take note. I do agree with that, though, ultimately. That is true. Both men said attention must be paid to why Ukraine is being forced to defend itself in the first place. Agreed. The British Prime Minister said the most important thing to recognize in the wake of the attack is that Ukraine is being forced to use missiles to defend its homeland. Agreed. It is having to defend its homelands against an illegal and barbaric set of strikes by Russia, he said at the G20 summit in Bali. Mr. Sunak added that it was important to focus on the continued barbaric activity of Russia in bombarding the Ukrainian people in their civilian infrastructure. Yeah. Some NATO country diplomats seem to be actually pissed. Responding to Zelensky's remarks tonight, a NATO country diplomat told me, this is getting ridiculous. The Ukrainians are destroying our confidence in them. Nobody's blaming Ukraine and they're openly lying. This is more destructive than the missile. Who said this? From above, you can see the scale of the bombing. Oh my God, poor people. Mr. President, this is loads. Did I say it right? I don't even know how to fucking say that word. Anyway. Spreading info that serves to escalate the conflict. Why is Ukraine so bent on spreading information that serves to escalate the conflict? What do you mean? You know the answer to that. Is that like sarcastic? Is that a rhetorical question? Like, what the fuck are you saying? Yeah, they're trying to do that because Zelensky has not hidden his true motivation since the jump. From the jump, he has said Article 5, Article 5, Article 5 for Ukraine, Article 5 for Ukraine, or send other states, American state troops and Polish state troops into Ukraine. Okay? Please, 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 please. From the jump. And America has always said no, 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 no. Okay? No matter what the NATO defenders in my chat say, I have told you time and time again that America will go and sell weapons that taxpayers paid for and give money to buy the weapons that give money to Ukraine so they can buy our weapons. Okay? But they're not going to fucking send U.S. troops to go and fight against Russian troops, which would then pull the United States of America into all-out war with another country with a massive nuclear arsenal. That's it. That's why I was so frustrated when dumb Americans were like, oh man, let's do fucking, why don't we do a no-fly zone? Like thinking that that's just like a barrier that you magically put on top of it. You can do a no-fly zone. People who post this type of shit should be in jail. What? I think they're just making fun of Poland and its tendency to try and fucking hit the button to be charitable. Yeah. That's why I can't tell why Zelensky thinks U.S. entry into this conflict will be non-nuclear. Dude, Zelensky doesn't give a fuck. Because his country is dying, okay? His countrymen are dying, okay? So when you're in that situation, like, you don't give a fuck. It's already basically nuclear warfare for you. The results of nuclear warfare are happening to you anyway. You know, he's already in World War III, so he's like, yeah, everybody else get into World War III just like me. The Polish army immediately knew that a Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile had fallen in Przewodowo because they tracked it on their radars. Army sources tell Onet there was no chance to neutralize it before it struck. Polish military radars were the first to track down a rocket that fell in. The army immediately knew. What is this? Where is this from? What article is this? The missile was intended to counter Russian missiles. However, for unknown reasons, the Ukrainian missile missed its target and changed its trajectory while in air. No, where is this article coming from? Where is this article? Who wrote it? That's my question. Anyway.
Joining us now.
Przewodowo. Oh, it's from a Polish news site. Okay, got it. Anyway, here, I'll take the dub though. I'll take the dub that I was right ultimately. And also, hopefully, this will be at least somewhat of a teachable moment for a lot of people that, you know, it's the dub overall is that, you know, World War III is not happening. Big man Erdogan looks reasonable when he said, I will believe Russia's version. He sees gas bag coming to Turkey. Big gas. I doubt it's true because Poland enacted Article 4 for the meeting last night, didn't they? Yeah, Article 4 just means consultation on, it's just an assessment on whether or not it was like full-blown invasion plans. It doesn't mean anything else other than that. Zelensky reveals that the Western allies have told him that Putin wants to begin direct negotiations. This comes after Milley and others in the Biden admin have voiced support for talks publicly and privately, and Sullivan discussed talks with Zelensky in recent Kyiv visit. Remember, this is actually a fucking huge deal. Zelensky said he received signals from Western allies that Russia's Vladimir Putin would like to hold direct negotiations with Ukraine. I received signals that Putin wants direct negotiations, he said. I proposed a public forum because Russia is waging a public war. Dude, stop. Do the peace talks, man. Do the peace talks. Do the peace talks. Do the peace talks. No, I'm sorry. Do the fucking peace talks. Holy shit. Zelensky also confirmed CIA Director Bill Burns' key visit Tuesday during Russia's missile attack. Yesterday, Burns sat in a bomb shelter, and then we talked to him. We discussed all the important issues for us. We know each other. He's on the side of Ukraine, Zelensky said. Zelensky told reporters that Ukraine would like Israeli air defense systems, that he had discussed the matter recently with Benjamin Netanyahu, who promised to consider them. Why haven't they? What part of your country would you give up for the peace talks? Florida. Easy. It's a dumb question. I wouldn't even consider it. I'd give Florida up regardless. I'd be like, here, take it. Florida would be the compromise. Like, people would be like, we don't want it. And then we'd be like, please take it. Zelensky told reporters that Ukraine would like Israeli air systems. Meanwhile, the U.S., in expressing full confidence in the investigation by Polish authorities, says it is clear that the party ultimately responsible for this tragic incident is Russia, which launched a barrage of missiles on Ukraine specifically intended to target civilian infrastructure. Zelensky doubles down. I have no doubt from my meeting the commander of the Air Force to Commander-in-Chief Zaluzny that it was not our missile or our missile strike. It makes no sense for me not to trust them. I've gone through the war with them. Trying to offload Florida could ruin those peace talks. Still not worth it. Why does Israel not want to give up Iron Dome since day one to Ukraine? Let's think. Maybe because they are aligned with both Ukraine and Russia. That's one consideration. I mean, that's literally it. That's the reason. They don't want to fucking piss off Russia. That's it. They don't want to piss off Russia. And then the other reason is because they might not want the technology to lead into the hands of whoever the fuck is going to take them after Ukraine. Like, here's the thing. You fucking, you send weapon systems to Ukraine, unless they're like directly being handled by American contractors, CIA or whatever. Who knows whose hands they're going to be? Who knows who's going to get those the weapons later? You know, Iron Dome is also American made. Yes, it is. Iron Dome is American made, but Israel has final rights on who it will offer it to. It's a collaboration. No. You called it, of course. Twitter data suggests that most of the people buying Twitter Blue are promoting three things: right-wing politics, cryptocurrency, and porn. Yep. I told you this would happen as well. My own anecdotal evidence shows that the people buying the HasanAbi subscription are buying it for three different reasons. Also promoting right-wing conspiracies, cryptocurrencies, and also avoiding the top of the hour ad break. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. If you no longer want to, we'll put that in the Twitter pile, by the way. We're going to talk about Twitter exploding in a second. If you no longer want to see those ads at the top of the hour, all you need to do is subscribe. Okay? You can do that for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. I did not fumble the bag. I did not fumble the landing. Okay? Shut the fuck up. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. You know, that is another way. Here's the one I'm going to add right now. Raining Blood 666. Thank you for the 5. Get the subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the motherfucking ads. Why hasn't Zelensky been advocating for peace talks as much as and often as possible? It shows fear. It shows cowardice. He's in a unique predicament. One, he needs to abide by what the West wants. And the West, I don't think, was super open to peace talks originally because, you know, more weapon sales. And they are now, for sure. It seems, at least publicly, they're stating that they want Ukraine to do that. The second reason is because internally, you have a lot of conflict. Like, you know, people fucking hate Russia. Like, they hate Russia. It would make him look weak in the eyes of all those people fighting. They would say, like, oh, why the fuck am I fighting for this coward? You know? Who says Russia would not use these peace talks as an opportunity to regroup and rearm? Dude, people, you say stuff like this, but, like, I don't know where these guns are coming from. Like, where is this regrouping happening? They're already nestled into their positions in the eastern territories. Like, they literally have fortified their positions to the east of the river. Like, regroup and rearm what? With what? With what weapons? What are they doing? Like, they suck. Mongolian fishing boot stock is increasing exponentially. We did watch G diss Justin Trudeau for being a revisionist. All right, let's watch this Fox News thing.
Retired Army Brigadier General Mark Kimmitt. Good to have you on, sir. Thanks for taking the time this morning.
Sure, Jim.
So still an ongoing investigation, right? But it appears the most likely scenario is that this was either a Ukrainian air defense missile or perhaps a combination of that and a Russian missile that it strike. But that kind of strike in the midst of a massive Russian barrage on...
Oh, here, this too. U.S. privately asks Ukraine to show it's open to negotiate with Russia. Remember when Zelensky was saying, like, I will never talk to Russia unless Vladimir Putin is no longer the leader of Russia? And I told you when he said that that was a bad fucking thing to say, that was not a good thing to say. Because that is, you know, it's just not... you're not de-escalating in any capacity. Like, people will use moral terms in this situation and be like, well, what the fuck do you want him to say? Like, he's being bombarded by Russia. Like, yeah, you're right. But when you close the door on talks, no, it wasn't right after the annexation. Oh, you mean annexation of eastern territories? Yes, you're right. Sorry, I thought you meant like Crimea or something. But or LPR and DPR, and not the additional territories on top of that. So saying that, like, oh, we're never going to comply, we're never going to do peace talks, we're winning wars in the Eastern Front, we're winning battles on the Eastern Front. How do you not see a contradiction between this and your talking point about the U.S. wanting the war? Wait, what? There is no contradiction. This is new, my friend. This is November 5. Do you think this was the first time that peace talks were being had between Ukrainian leadership and Russian leadership? No. This is November 5th, 2022. Okay? This is new. This is a new development from the Western side, from Western leadership. Previously, they were gung-ho. There was a 15-point plan that they put together in Turkey, okay? And things were looking somewhat hopeful until Bojo decided to fucking take his ass down to Kyiv personally. And the reason why I think America is saying this and doing this is specifically because war is good for money. War is a racket. You make money during war. You know how you don't make money? if it gets to a point where it starts interfering with the personal existence of Westerners, the people that they actually do care about. Western leadership starts feeling the pain. Western people start feeling the pain of the war that Ukrainians are waging against, against the Russian invaders. Okay? The moment that starts hurting the people that they do care about, they're going to turn around and be like, all right, fucking cut it out a little bit. What are you doing? Wish there was a way to like make. How are we making money as a country goes through this war? Honest questions. I keep seeing bill after bill giving Ukraine money. Okay. Here's how this happens. Okay, here, it's paint time. Okay. Here are you, tax dollar guy. Okay, here is you. You're working, and at the end of your fucking, work week, at the end of every 2 weeks, you get some money. Okay? Some of that money is taken from you, okay? Some of your in the form of tax dollars, okay? That goes to the government. The government then takes that money, okay, and gives it to R&D, gives it to fat government contracts with Raytheon, okay, and Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and the like, and Boeing, okay? So some of that tax dollars make guns. Let's just draw it like this for now. But the guns we're talking about usually aren't Desert Eagles, obviously, but instead fucking big guns like rockets, missile systems, things of that nature. Okay? Pew, 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 pew. Okay? That's what they make with that. So your tax dollars make these guns. And then Raytheon is like, well, we got to sell these guns somewhere. Where can we sell these guns? Well, we could sell these guns during war. This is a good opportunity to take some of these rockets. Okay, here's a rocket. Okay. Here's a rocket. Let's do. Okay, so then the government takes some more of your tax dollars and says, hey, Ukraine, we're going to do a lend and lease program, okay? First, we are going to offer you some weapons, okay? First, we're going to take some of the arsenal that we bought from Raytheon and Lockheed and them, and we're just going to give them to you, okay? And then also, we're going to give you some dollars. What can you do with those dollars? What will you purchase with those dollars? More of the rockets. So that's how this fucking works. Okay? Not only are we giving guns to Ukraine, but then we're also giving them money so that they can buy more guns and more of the Raytheon rockets. Okay? That's it. I hope that was, I hope that helped. Ultimately, the people that make out like a bandit in this situation are these guys, okay? These guys. Raytheon and Lockheed. First, they're getting the tax dollars to make these fucking weapons to begin with. Then they're selling those weapons to Ukraine or giving those weapons to Ukraine that the American government has bought. Then America is also giving more money to Ukraine directly. And then Ukraine will then turn around and use that money to buy even more rockets from Raytheon and Lockheed. That's why war is a racket. And you, the tax dollar, your tax dollars are paying for all aspects of it. Your tax dollars are paying for the research and development. Your tax dollars are paying for the U.S. arsenal to be refreshed. And your tax dollars are also going directly to Ukraine so that Ukraine can then purchase more of the arsenal that still needs to be refreshed, which is why we're going to buy an even larger budget next year around from Raytheon and Lockheed, because we need to refresh our arsenal and we need to continue making more weapons so we can give it to Ukraine, which is buying the weapons with our money. It is an infinite money glitch, and you are footing the bill. There you go. Not mentioning Boeing. I mentioned Boeing too in the beginning. It's just I just wrote Lockheed. Northrop Grumman is another one that I didn't write either. There's plenty other examples. Have you considered visual arts? You are even better at drawing than you are at gaming. Oh my God, shut up. Only 30% of Western weapons are making it to the Ukrainian front lines. That's a crazy fucking stat, dude. Extremely concerned about how a maximalist, jingoistic, open your purse to weapons companies without question U.S. political comment regarding Russia's horrific invasion of Ukraine is being used to permanently expand the U.S. military apparatus expansion that will claim so many victims. People who have been trying for decades to cut the military budget, reduce the political power of weapons companies, and stop nuclear proliferation are losing big time right now, and that has real material consequences not only now but for the future. That's absolutely correct, and that is what's happened, and there is no way to go back. I don't think that there is any way out of this. I will admit, the Russian invasion of Ukraine showed me that that is the reality. Like 9/11 was the first push. 9/11 was the first push for the American military-industrial complex to expand to the size that it had become. Okay, the failed war on terror was demonstrably awful. Cost like $6-7 trillion. Endless amounts of bloodshed. Doesn't matter. Military-industrial complex profited big time from it. And then now at this stage, the final stage, like you had already eradicated the peaceful dove liberal coalition that was anti-military industrial complex. You were slowly eroding that from the Democratic Party's base of support in the aftermath of 9/11 and the war on terror, because people were so terrified of Muslims. Okay. Now, with Russia, it's completely gone. There's not a single fucking person that is in the constituency at this stage that says, hey, maybe we shouldn't be fucking spending all of our money on the military. Or if we're going to spend some of the money on the military, maybe you shouldn't go to fucking rocket building and, you know, a brown student eviscerating laser-guided missiles, but instead should go to, like, taking care of veterans and shit. It's completely done. We're at the final stage, okay? It's over. How do I know that it's over? Well, I mean, look at how people reacted to the Progressive Caucus saying some of the most light suggestions that they offered, where they were like, hey, maybe America should be a little bit more active in pushing Ukraine towards peace negotiations. And everybody universally was like, fuck you. People were so aggressive towards the Progressive Caucus and bullied them so hard for saying, like, we stand with the Ukrainians, we've signed off on every fucking bill, but maybe we should be personally trying to get Ukraine to the table on peace negotiations, things that the Biden administration is saying openly now. But people got so mad at that, people yelled so much about that, that even even the motherfucking, what do you call it? Even the motherfucking, like, Dan Pfeiffer, Obama, Obama boys over at the Pod Johns and Pod Save America were like, hey, you guys are being crazy. Like, they were yelling at their base of liberals with Ukrainian flags in their bios to shut the fuck up and that you look like bloodthirsty, warmongering psychos. So, that's it. It's over. I don't think you can do anything on that front. I don't think we will be able to stop this behemoth. It is it makes far too much money. And yeah, it was really dumb for the Progressive Caucus to even withdraw that letter. and they did it anyway because they had no other option. And I don't think this will, I think this is more positive overall than Afghanistan, because American troops are not dying. And no one is actively communicating that, like, your tax dollars, in the way that I just explained to you, your tax dollars are going to buy more weapons. Those weapons are then being shipped off to Ukraine. And then Ukraine is getting more tax dollars to also buy additional weapons, which then end up expanding the base of, expanding the revenue streams of the military-industrial complex. And every single one of those dollars could be going to social safety nets and shit like that. So they're not seeing that because they don't even have any sort of tangible impact at home. You cover the war from afar and you say, we care about the Ukrainian people as they're dying, and that's it. You just say you care about the Ukrainian people. If you don't, how dare you say we shouldn't be selling more HIMARS? You're a fucking piece of shit. You want more war to be waged, okay? And you want Ukrainians to die then, and then everyone shuts the fuck up, especially like, empathetic liberals have a hard time coming to terms with that. So ultimately, it's even better than Afghanistan because, like, you don't have people at home that are watching their sons and daughters come back broken from a war like the one in Afghanistan that we were waging.
On Ukrainian territory, which was taking place during this time frame.
Or dying.
Who bears responsibility?
Well, look, I mean, ultimately, Russia bears responsibility for this. They're the ones that shot the cruise missiles, candidly. They're the ones that started this unprovoked war. So while there may have been tactical mistakes made on the ground, the responsibility is clearly with President Putin and no one else.
And what about, as we just heard from Matthew, the Polish prime minister, noting that there is an indication that likely it was this Ukrainian missile defense system that intercepted a Russian missile, but that fragments of both, they appear to have found fragments of both on the ground there in Poland. What does that tell you about just how close Russia is potentially getting with these strikes to the Polish border?
Well, it could very well be that they intentionally programmed those cruise missiles to fly near the border, believing that the Ukrainians would hold their fire for fear of this very incident. But it was responsible on the part of the Ukrainians to defend their people. So if the Russians, in my mind, probably tried to get this as close to the border as possible to cause the Ukrainians not to shoot at it, I mean, that's just another of a series of war crimes that have been committed by President Putin.
I love when American generals talk about war crimes, bro. It's crazy. It's like he's just that is unironically my favorite segment, followed by American generals that now are working for the working for one of the weapons contractors that will sell directly the weapons on television like it's fucking QVC. It's my favorite type of segment. It's all too familiar. All too common.
We heard a lot of caution from U.S. and NATO officials last night saying, let's not, jump to a conclusion here about what happened. We're watching this very closely. That caution seemed to be warranted. Did Ukrainian leaders make a mistake by immediately characterizing this as a Russian strike on Poland?
Well, again, I'm not sure that the Ukrainians were necessarily part of that deliberative, methodical process at the NATO headquarters. But these kind of accidents, I mean, we've often said the first report is usually wrong when it comes to warfare. So I think what NATO did to kind of take a deep breath, try to figure out what was going on, was the right thing to do.
We also heard from NATO Secretary General this morning, who said one of the top priorities now is to provide more air defense systems for Ukraine. Do you think this incident will speed up that support and or the timeline for more air defense systems, or any, when it comes to what's being supplied to Ukraine?
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. Not only more, but also more accurate, more advanced weapon system that we've seen so far. I mean, this could very well have been the same type of missile, a bulk missile that brought down the Singapore Airlines 4 years ago in 2017. Not very accurate, depends on a second generation type of guidance system. So more accurate, more of them would make things more safe.
Brigadier General Mark Kimmitt, always appreciate your insight, your expertise. Thank you.
Thank you.